Hello, my name is William Crawford II. I'm a judge at the 68th District Court. I'd like to thank you for tuning in to view me or hear my responses today, and I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for allowing me this opportunity to state my position and answer to some of the questions that have been posed. The first question is, what attributes do you possess to make you the best choice for this position? My response to that is experience, judicial judgment and temperament, and I believe that I have a lot of experience. I know I have a lot of experience. I've been a judge for 15 years. I worked at the city attorney's office prior to that. During the city attorney's office, I did a lot of things to prepare me for judge. A lot of things that I see in court today I had experience with prior to being a judge. I prosecuted a lot of cases, drunk driving trials, domestic violence cases, and also a lot of neighborhood type cases or nuisance crimes that I prosecuted. Barking dogs, dogs running loose, you name it. I tried over 35 jury trials in 2 years, which was like a little local record at the time. I also represented the Flint Housing Commission, the Flint Planning Commission, and the Flint Zoning Board of Appeals. I recently went by the city to pick up a zoning map, and whoever worked there, they humorously gave me a copy of a legal opinion that I wrote back in 1988 that they're still using at the city of Flint today. Made me feel kind of old, but making me feel good that I was making good decisions way back then. So I have a lot of experience, and I also have competence. I graduated from a Big Ten law school. I aced the Michigan bar, which means that I passed the bar exam by scoring high enough on my multiple choice questions that they never graded my written essay responses. And that's a good thing. That's what people shoot for, but it's a little bit rare, and I was happy it happened. Even though I did believe that the written answer were the strongest part of my of the test. That qualified me for admittance to the bar. But since then, you have other things that would make you confident to be a judge. One is my experience trying cases. I also was in private practice. I've dealt with a lot of variety of cases and persons and attorneys. I've tried cases, jury trials in circuit court. I've been up against some of the best attorneys in Genesee County, some of the employment lawyers. When I worked for the city of Flint, we had some cases then, so I have a lot of experience in trial matters. Since I've been a judge, I do continuing legal education. I go to seminars and classes and conferences that update us on the law, and they even teach us foundational things too, so we still remember how to handle pro per cases. Those are cases where litigants come into court without a lawyer, so that make sure that we treat them fairly, that we make them feel comfortable, and that's important. So I get training all the time, and I do a lot of training on my own to stay abreast of the law because it's important to me. I like to make the right decisions. I read all briefs that are submitted on time prior to the case being heard. I'll take it home the weekend, I'll read them at lunch, but I like to know about the case and know what someone's position is. If they take the time to write the brief, then I read it. If it's something I don't understand, if the case, the cited in the brief, I'll look it up on the internet and I read the case, so I like to be prepared. I believe that's important. I start court on time, excuse me, and I finish court on time. If I have to work through lunch, I work through lunch. But one of the important things that the state has us doing now is to make sure that we finish cases within a certain time frame so that there's not a delay. So somebody comes to court, a case that reasonably will be heard in sometimes 60 days, 90 days. Sometimes the time frame will go out to 6 months. But whatever the time frame is, I have a 98% efficiency rating. So people come to court and they can get prompt hearing. That's important. Judgment and temperament also is important. A lot of people who are running for judge, they don't really understand that judicial temperament is important because it seems easy when you're watching on TV or whatever, but it's not. You have to have a lot of patience with people. City of Flint is economically depressed right now. We have a lot of people who come to court without lawyers. It's important to have patience and get an opportunity to present their case. Sometimes the lawyers on the other side will get impatient and they think that we're being too friendly with them, but once again, we get training with that from the state bar, and we try to make people feel comfortable, at least give them a chance. And you'd be surprised. People get on the internet, they watch TV. Some people come in and do a darn good job without a lawyer. So if you have a case and you believe in your case, give it a shot. The worst thing that can happen is you lose your case. What happened is you didn't come to court, you get a default judgment. So we try to make court friendly and have access, be accessible to everyone. I treat all people in my court with respect. I believe that their time is important. I treat the attorneys with respect. I try to get attorneys in and out because I know when an attorney is sitting there in court that somebody's paying for their services. And if they're paying for their services, I don't want them to pay while they sit for an hour while I do something else. If I can get the attorneys in and out first, I try to do that. If the case starts at 8:30, we give a reasonable time for people to appear. There's a parking problem downtown. They have to go to a metal detector, so I don't start at 8:30. Now I'm there at 8:30, but I don't start at 8:30 because then for the next half hour you have people coming in. So, Judge, I missed my court date. No, I'm sorry, I couldn't park or I overslept, whatever. So depending on how big the docket is, we'll give 5, 10, 15 minutes before we get started. And then while we're hearing the cases, time goes on and people are straggling later, then the case is heard. But if I started like right at 8:30 and heard all the cases, then somebody would get left out. So we try to get an opportunity for everyone to be heard. I'm fair. I do my best to be fair. I was appointed by a Republican governor. I have been consistently endorsed by Genesee County Democratic Party in my elections. I received some support from landlords, but I also received a lot of support from tenants. The Legal Services of Eastern Michigan is the provider of legal aid to tenants who can't afford to have a lawyer. When they are reviewed by federal regulators, I'm one of the judges that they send to ask how they're doing. Every year, every other year sometimes, they'll come and ask me how they're doing. I don't think that they would ask me that if they think that I was biased. I believe that's the way the system is worked. It shouldn't matter what your political affiliation is, whether you own property or you're renting property, what color, race, creed, gender that you are. Everybody gets treated the same in my court. What changes would I have if what changes, if any, do you feel are appropriate to better serve your jurisdiction? Do you plan to implement these if elected? That's question number 2. We have done some scheduling adjustments to reduce the backlog in 68th District Court that we had from the flood that we had a couple of years ago. I intend to continue tweaking that schedule to address concerns that some attorneys have that it's a little bit too strict, so we want to make sure that everybody has a chance to get their case heard, and we don't want attorneys having to be in 2 places at one time, so we're going to tweak that a little bit. But I am happy to say that we have reduced our backlog and we're more efficient because, as we know, we have a high crime problem in the city of Flint, and we have a jail overcrowding problem too. That means cases that come, criminal cases that come in the district court level have to be handled efficiently and quickly so that those cases can be resolved. If somebody is innocent, they need a hearing quickly to show they're innocent, they're not sitting in jail. If somebody's guilty, then or if we find probable cause. We find probable cause that they commit a crime, we need to get them to circuit court so they can have their jury trial. Number 3, how could the cost of judicial administration be reduced? Provide a specific example of how you would reduce costs in your courtroom. Very quickly, we could have shared services with the 67th District Court, which shares a building with us. We could share probation services, and we could share drug testing services. We also do jail duty at the Genesee County Jail on weekends and holidays. One judge from 67 goes, one judge from 68 goes. There have been discussions about having one judge go and handle matters for both courts. That would be a saving there. What do you perceive as the greatest obstacles to justice, if any? The greatest obstacle to justice right now, I believe, is access to justice. Because of the hard financial times that we have, a lot of people are unable to afford an attorney. A lot of people are intimidated by judges, they're intimidated by courts, and I'll be frank, some of the attorneys that are on the other side of cases of people that are being sued aren't too nice to them. And as a result, we get a lot of default judgment. People get sued and they don't come to court. Big mistake. If you owe the money or if you're wrong and you don't mind having a default judgment against you, then you don't have to come to court. If you believe that you're being wrongfully sued and you don't owe the money, then come down and fight your case. I will do my best to treat you fairly, make you feel comfortable. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. God bless you.